Where'd I meet Rob?
Yeah, where'd you meet Rob?
What's with all the questions, Nancy Drew?
Nothing. Just curious, I guess. Did they tell you yet?
Tell me what?
We're moving to Jersey.
They wanted to move in with us.
I don't know that I would be comfortable with that responsibility, you know?
I know you think I'll be a burden, but I'll be good, I promise.
She's my sis, but they're asking me to take on a full-time job.
She seems much better now.
She is better. There's just a lot. She's a lot.
Where's Bianca?
She's getting a mop. I've been saving a seat for a pretty gal going on 10 minutes now. I'm Jack.
Can you just tell her I brought her cookies? They're her favorite. It was nice meeting you!
Would now be a good time to catch your name. I already told you mine.
Jack.
Your name's Jack.
No, your name's Jack.
Oh my God, she remembers me. She remembers me.
He is not the kind of guy who would respect how you're different.
Hey, everybody, I'm different!
You have to understand what you're dealing with, Jack.
Phobias, OCD, stuff like that?
She has Asperger's.
It's not my fault! It's like you want to forget I exist or something! You only let me down!
This is delicate. I don't think she's ever even been kissed.
You're just being overprotective.
Of course I am.
Sorry, I tried to hold your hand. I didn't want to do anything to mess this up.
Please don't drive him away. I really like him, Bianca, and he likes me too. He thinks I'm beautiful.
I got you on my mind. I need it now.
I think I've gotten a little out of control. I've been so focused on the person that you were that I wasn't seeing the person you become.
I'm losing control and I don't
We'll see you later. Bye.
That's your cue.
Right. Bye. There's nothing wrong with you. I like you the way that you are.
Are you about to kiss me?
Am I allowed to?
I would like that very much.
Feel free to sit in any seat that looks the most comfortable to you. And guys, thanks.
Hi, you guys. Thanks for having us.
William, my first question is to you. This is tricky territory to get into, to writing, to casting, to portraying. Whenever you try to represent or have a character that could end up representing people who are usually underrepresented, how are you able to do that without feeling like it's a burden on your shoulders?
Absolutely. We had to approach this film with a extreme sensitivity to the subject, and we wanted to do everything to prepare ourselves to do this the right way, which meant hiring an autism consultant on the film who would watch audition tapes and give us feedback. And ultimately, I think Louisa's performance brings a sensitivity and a realness that we could sort of find in the editing room to make sure that this was going to be truthful and that we were laughing with this person and not at them.
Do you shoot a range of emotions and nuances while you're doing something like this? So when you get into the editing room, you have a fair amount of safety in regards to, like, okay, maybe on set we thought that was the right way to go, but now that we're watching it, we may have gone a little too far, didn't go far enough in portraying this character.
Absolutely. Louisa didn't have a tremendous amount of time to prepare for this role, so our mentality going into it was, let's just try everything and be bold and make big choices and try and be as truthful as possible. And then we really did find Jane's performance in the editing room, and our editor, Casey O'Donnell, spent hours combing through the various takes that Louisa did to really sort of push Jane up and down the spectrum to figure out what felt appropriate.
And Louisa, what about you going into portraying this character? As we said before, it's not necessarily a film about Asperger's. It's a love story about someone with Asperger's. But at the same time, I could imagine every now and then a deep burden in regards to portraying someone with Asperger's and wanting to represent everyone that you could, while at the same time that would be quite phony.
Right. Well, Jarrett Kerr, who is in our audience today, he's the writer. He wrote yay, Jarrett. He is. Woo! Blue. I was such a fan of the story, and he wrote such a specific character, and I was able to talk with the woman whose sister inspired the story, and so I got a lot of, I guess, guidance with her kind of personality and character traits, and I watched a few documentaries and films, and he's a great guide, was a great guide.
Yeah, we would just sort of shoot resources back and forth, articles that we found, books that we were reading.
Right. But I just love Jane so much, and I think it's like the will in me to want to just be honest and truthful. So there's like that will in me. So I don't know. I feel like it was a gift to play her and to be Jane, and actually to be on the spectrum. I enjoyed living in that sort of innocence, and I'm just thankful.
When you're on set and you're doing this character, are you? I mean, I'm so forgive the pretentiousness of this cliche, but are you going method at all? Are you, because I mean, I kind of believe in that in the sense that it's hard to go back and forth when you're going so deep into something. So did you find that when you're in your shooting days, 12 hours a day, that you had to sort of remain pretty much in character?
Yeah, for sure. I always tend to want to stay like vibrating on whatever frequency the character that I play is vibrating on. And for Jane especially, I had a hard time, I wouldn't really look people in the eye. And then at the wrap party, it was so weird. It was like all of a sudden I was like, hey guys, you're meeting me. Like, you're actually, hey, it's Louisa, what's up? Yeah, but it helps me to sort of stay in it. It does. It's helpful to me. And I mean, oh my God, everybody here is amazing. Like, acting with all of you is just, it was such a treat, just playing with them and being able to rely on you guys. Acting is reacting,
Yeah.
So.
Eliza, working with Louisa here, I mean, your character is having a love story of her own as well, but it's a love story kind of with her sister. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's and this
Yes.
strapping gentleman at the end here, but this love story, it was really a personal story for me. I know, and I'm very close to some friends who have Asperger's, and so it can be a very complicated thing because it is on the autism spectrum, but we kind of typically know someone who's autistic. It's clear as day. You know what you're dealing with. You know what the dynamic is, and you just sort of naturally have a level of compassion and acceptance with that. And with Asperger's, it can sometimes be a little, I don't want to say more challenging, but it's a little bit more of a mind twist because you get into these like, well, they act normal and they're high functioning, and so, and yet I don't really have the patience at times, and so my character, I mean, sometimes I love my character and sometimes I want to strangle her because she's really trying to find that balance of how to be loving and protective and also accept and respect Jane as an equal. And so I love that arc for the sisters.
I think what I love about your character as well as your character is that you bring a dignity to Jane that is different than the fact that she can love somebody or that she likes old movies. You bring the dignity of that. As a human being, she can be quite frustrating. Like any other human being that you love that's in your life, they can be quite frustrating. It's something that I think movies about those that are mentally delayed or handicapped in any way sort of refuse to tell that side of the story, that those people have their own problems as well. They're not just innocent, or they're not just sort of an easy street person that you sort of sympathize or empathize with.
Sure, and yet it can also be more frustrating to people that are perhaps a specific kind of personality. So, I mean, you look...
Type A?
Yeah, so Bianca, my character, is very type A, very controlling. She's trying to, like, everywhere in her life define and kind of, set, and she's just got married, and so Jane moving in with her becomes this thing that just rocks her, but then you have Gabe's Jack, who comes along, and he finds her utterly charming, and he loves that quirkiness about her. And I think, again, with our story, by the end, I start to realize that perhaps there are ways that maybe could learn more from Jane if I would just, we create these norms in society of like what's acceptable and what's not. And for someone like Jane, who's just kind of like letting her, her personality and her individuality shine, that can be frightening for other people. And I love that. I feel like we get to that point of her going, "As you are, you're rad."
Absolutely. Gabe, do you want to talk about your character Jack at all and what he sees in Jane, how that envelops, and sort of where the bravery to pursue that comes from, even after he finds out that she has Asperger's?
Yeah, sure. For me, the whole enterprise was a sort of exercise in bravery because I'd never acted on camera before. I grew up doing plays, and this was my first opportunity to act on camera, and I'm so grateful to all of the people sitting up here and to Jared and Lauren for letting me have this opportunity. And so I was terrified, to be truthful and to bring this story in a real way. There were elements of my character that I could relate to.
This was your first time acting on camera?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're very good.
Oh, hey, thanks,
You're
man.
very good.
Amazing.
All right. All right.
You're very watchable.
Oh, well, I appreciate
And I'm sorry, and he was simultaneously doing one of the leads in Matilda on Broadway while we were shooting, so he would go and do a performance and then show up on our set.
Which he had just won a Tony for.
That,
So, my first time acting, Tony winner.
You just got 3 simultaneous rounds of applause. Like it went up, it dipped, it went up,
Well
it dipped, it
deserved.
went
I don't
back
think
up.
I should even answer this question because I'm doing so good right now.
Drop the mic and walk off stage.
I hope
as
that you
good as it
bomb
could
this
get.
question and we just go straight to booze.
No, just move on. Move on to Amir,
excited
please.
about Gabriel.
There were elements of this man that I could relate to. Shamefully, as a man, of seeking something that you've created in your mind that's impossible to actually attain, and projecting onto various women, as my character does, this perfection that he's seeking that isn't possible, and he's disillusioned and he's unsatisfied, and it's only when he reaches that sort of low that he's able to be surprised by a genuine human being. And like Eliza was saying, Jane leads with her personality and with her individuality for the people who've been stuck in a rut of normalcy or of what it means to be successful or to be a functioning 21st century human. Jane represents this sort of pocket of, this sort of little eruption of spontaneity that I think gets under everyone's skin eventually, but it wakes Jack up to a possibility that he wasn't really aware of before, I think. And then he continues to be surprised by her and eventually surprises himself, which I think is one of the great treats of playing this arc.
I mean, I would say that your character, I unfortunately relate to the most, I would say, in the sense that he wants to help, he wants to be there, but he's got his own thing that he has to do at the same time. Can you talk about sort of finding a place within that character where it's sympathetic and that he's like this, but at the same and not in any way, I don't want to say villainous, but in many ways he could be the villain. He could be perceived as the person who doesn't care about her at all, but that's not necessarily the case.
He loves Jane. He loves all of them here. So I just want to circle back, and it'll make sense. I'll make sense in a second.
Please.
When I first was asked to audition for this movie, it was for the role of Jack. And I read the script and fell in love with the script and fell in love with Jack. And I was so excited and preparing it, and I just thought this was a special project. But I was shooting. I had a shooting conflict on the day of the audition, and they were like, they'll reschedule. And then the following week, we're like, okay, so what's the reschedule? They're like, sorry, the role of Jack has been cast. I was like, with who? I was like, who's Gabe Ebert? I'm just kidding.
I asked the same question.
But they're like, we'd love to see you for the role of Rob. And in my head, I was like, but Rob's the jerk. Rob's the obstacle. No, no. I got all like huffy and was like upset. And then I had realized I had been reading the script through Jack's eyes. And I said, hold on a second. He's the jerk. He's the obstacle. There's something interesting there. So I went back and reread the script through Rob's eyes and actually saw an incredible role and an incredible opportunity to do what you just said, make this guy who's sort of stuck in between the characters, trying to keep it together, who is sort of an obstacle in the narrative of our movie, but not an obstacle to any of these relationships. He actually loves everybody and wants everybody to be happy. So I found it exciting, and I actually could relate to him quite well. A guy, I'm not married, but a guy who's trying to do well in his job, trying to keep it together, trying to stay afloat, trying to maintain his relationships.
You're getting like beat on by everyone in the movie. The whole movie is so sweet. Like, I'm pissed at you half the time. He's mad at you. She's like, he doesn't like me. It's like.
But do you know what that did? What that did? I didn't even realize it when I read it. But on set, it without being sort of mad at all the time is actually a great comic opportunity. So kind of trying to survive the waters of being married to a OCD, very high threshold wife. Actually, no, the other big draw in this movie when they were like, oh, you would be playing Eliza Dushku's husband, I was like, I'm in. So there's that too.
Well, I think so often with your character, we would see them as someone much less complex. They would either be completely supportive or they would be, as you said, just the obstacle in the way of everybody else and completely unsympathetic to what was happening. But we get a much more complex character. He has his own thing going on, which I think is a testament to this movie and to the writing. Can you talk about sort of developing a story where each character, while maybe presenting an obstacle or being a kind of archetype for the processing of the plot, still has a complexity as a human being?
Sure. I mean, I'm going to plug Jarrett Kerr again, who's just a wonderful writer.
What's up, Jarrett?
Yeah.
Jarrett. In the house.
He did a tremendous amount of research, and we have kind of an unconventional writer-director relationship where I kind of just take a red pen and go through, and he's really collaborative and not precious with his writing. So this was originally this big ensemble piece, and I think it was much more broad, it was a little more comedic, and I think over the course of 2 years of working on this script, we really honed into this sister story, the relationship between Bianca and Jane. And then even in the edit, we kind of rewrote the story and pushed it a little bit more towards Jack and Jane and this love story, which kind of sort of, the chemistry between Jack and Jane was speaking to us, and so we just sort of had to follow that. So it's been an evolution of many years of work.
Louisa, were you ever nervous going into a shoot day playing this character? Were you nervous about how you were portraying this person?
I never really let myself think like that, because if I think like that, then I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna be able to do it. So yeah, I just sort of threw myself in. That's how I love just throwing
Kill the
myself
fear with the
in.
courage, yeah.
Yeah, just go. And yeah, I mean, it was a playground. And I also got a stamp of approval from Carrie Magro, who is our sort of consultant, right, from Autism Speaks. So that was like, okay, and he said you meet one person with Asperger's, you meet one person with Asperger's. And what was so gratifying was seeing the film at a festival and then people coming up to me and thanking me, and it was like overwhelming, and I just feel, yeah, again I feel blessed to have been a part of it and to walk this specific walk of life, and like that's all I want to do with my life is like walk billions of lives,
Absolutely.
I just want to say one thing, too, about her particular confidence. Is I came in with a lot of fear and wanting to not look fake and having all these doubts about being able to act in front of a camera. And Louisa pushed me over that hurdle and even physically would hit me and just say, like, get out of your head. Don't do this. This isn't for your neuroses. This is to give away. And she made very certain that I knew that we're giving this away. It's not something that we're holding precious to ourselves, but it's a gift that we're giving. And these are lessons that I've carried throughout the next few years of my career. And I'm incredibly grateful to her for pushing me over my own heavy brain, because it can really get in the way of doing good work. And I think that her performance is a testament to that. And anything that's good in my performance is also a testament to that quality in her.
Oh, that's nice.
He's a dreamboat. He's a total dreamboat.
The second you think you know what's going to happen in a scene with Louisa, it changes. Yeah. So in order to sort of stay present, you have to adapt to this different version of the scene with Jane. And I think that
It's a blessing.
you know, I would like take Louisa aside and be like, do something completely different. Just like mix it up to throw you guys off your game and get you sort of back.
Yeah.
and present.
Let's turn it over to questions from the audience. Does anyone have questions?
Hey guys. First off, I want to say to Eliza, I'm a big fan of all your work you've done with Josh Whedon.
Thank you.
Amir, I also loved the Blacklist too. So, thank you. So my question to you guys is, what did you guys take away from working on this movie?
Who wants to field that one? Eliza?
Sure. I mean, I took away so much. I think that, you know, it's one thing to think about how we treat people with sort of differences in our lives and in our families, and it's another thing to read it, and then it's another thing to be playing it. And it made me. I do think it's made me more just accepting of people's differences. I mean, I have the characteristics of my character. Do not let anyone fool you. Not that you, if you know my other characters, would think that I am not a very controlling or type A person, but I don't know, it's just in my blood. I always kind of, you know, I'm a doer, and sometimes if people get in my way, I just kind of like, I get a little crazy cray. So, my family loves me through it, and my friends sometimes. But it did help me to just chill a little bit and not think that I know where someone's coming from, what they, you know, what's best for them, God, you know. I've never had a sister. I grew up with 3 older brothers, and there was also just something really lovely and moving about some of those scenes with us were really deep, and they felt really real. They were like so raw and emotional, and I hadn't actually played many characters that are this raw and vulnerable. So I don't know. I took a lot away in that general.
Next question.
Hey guys, thanks for coming. When you had spoke about not making eye contact with people, I was wondering if when you were doing all this research, you saw any parallels with people who aren't on the spectrum, that are just consumed by their phones or technology, that kind of start to exhibit the same symptoms.
Wow, yeah, totally. I mean, that's exactly right. Yeah, I mean, I never thought like, oh, this is like me when I'm on my phone, but that's such a spot-on observation, and yeah, do you want to talk about that?
I think that there's a part of Jane that's hiding herself from the world, and she's a little bit ashamed of what makes her different, and the escapism aspect of that, I think, is very true to our film, and it takes the start of the film takes place at a very specific point in Jane's life. She's turning 25, and she's sort of looking up from her phone to the world, so to speak. I think I know that when I've been in an awkward situation where I don't know everybody, or I'm at a party, and like the person that I know goes to the bathroom and I'm standing alone, I'm gonna pull out my phone and disappear into it. So
I haven't talked to a stranger in years since I've got my iPhone.
100%. So I think that's a great observation.
Next question.
Hey guys, good afternoon. The movie looks absolutely fascinating. I'm definitely going to check it out. It seems to me in recent years that mental health is starting to get a lot of ground, and much deservingly so. I've been talking to a lot of people and constantly surprised by others that know somebody who has something. There's a lot of star power up on the stage right now. How do you guys see yourself going forward after your experience on set and maybe helping spread awareness on autism?
It's a great question, and I think someone asked me the other day if, in a Q&A, if I was going to become an autism advocate, and I think we on the stage are all just storytellers, and this film is our contribution to that message, which we do care very much about, and that's why we're here promoting this film, because it has a really powerful message about developmental disorders and just acceptance in general. But we really just sort of we want to keep telling more stories. There's lots of things that interest us. So
I just pitched Will the sequel to Jane Wants a Boyfriend.
Yeah, Jane Wants a Baby.
Jane Wants a Baby.
But we also,
wants a divorce.
April 2nd is Autism Awareness Day, and we're, after we get off stage, all putting, well, Will's already in his blue, Jared's already in his blue, but we're all putting on blue for this Light It Up campaign and, you know, doing a thing for social media. And I mean, I think that for sure, I mean, many times when I've done films and you're kind of awakened to this part of society or people, you can't help but then want to become an advocate kind of for life. It's like in you somewhere, right? So I think we're all, I don't know.
I want to, my mother is a psychiatrist and works in mental health, so I've sort of spent my whole life talking about, well, what does this mean? And sort of, it's not specific to this movie, but the importance of medication, and it's nothing to be ashamed of, no matter what you may be dealing with, depression or anxiety, or if you're having troubles, you know, if you're on the spectrum. But making indie movies, you know, we don't make any money. I mean, I didn't make any money. I don't know about Gabe Ebert.
Nobody did.
But
we didn't pay Amir on this.
Absolutely not.
The gift of doing a movie like this is one, the collaborators, and two, the message. So I feel privileged to get to be able to participate in what Will is talking about and Eliza. To be able to participate and help spread the word for something like this. I mean, it's, you know, we're all running around trying to get jobs and TV shows. It's such a corporate industry. So to be able to kind of stop and work on something like this is a gift. And no matter what role you play in it, whether you're an obstacle or you're the hero or whatever, you know, I honor. And so it's special.
Yeah, absolutely. Last question, right here.
Hello, everyone. My question is for Eliza. With all the TV reboots going on, if Josh Whedon ever contacted you to play the role of Faye from Buffy again, would you do it?
Super cash question, huh? Look, I've said it many times and I'll say it again. I'm so grateful to that nutty man, Joss Whedon, for all the opportunities he's given me, and I'd pretty much follow him everywhere. I've like followed him into the bathroom, and you know, we're very close. I love him, and I would follow him many more places. And I loved my homegirl Faith, and that could and would be a fun thing.
Well, guys, I have to wrap it up. I want to congratulate you on a really sensitive portrait on love and on Asperger's. Thank you so much for being here. How can people see the movie?
It's releasing in 10 cities, including New York and LA, on March 25th, and it's the same day it's going to be on iTunes and all those VOD things. So,
what are the 10 cities? What are the 10 cities?
Name them.
I can't name.
Liza's got it.
Oh, yeah.
New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Denver, Austin, Philly, Chicago.
Great town.
She's a maniac.
You haven't been there.
Where?
No, I was just saying
I think that was like 7. And then, yeah.
Call it out, Lauren Brady. Call it out.
iTunes, Amazon Video.
That's not a city.
Soon to be.
Comcast.
Well, guys, thank you so much for being here. Congratulations once
Thank
again.
you so much. Thanks, guys.